What is going on, everybody?
Hello, we're back.
Here. We are back with the Pound and Slash Marvel Media Podcast.
I am Pounds.
This is the Comic Corner.
I'm Pounds.
And I'm Slash.
We're making penis.
Yep. So this is actually the week of Thor, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay.
Or should I say the week of Journey into Mystery. We're going to journey into a lot of mysteries.
Right.
All involving Thor. I don't know how everything fell the way that it did for us to get this week of this. And honestly, what's really cool, though, is this almost feels like what in Marvel is the first story arc amongst a series of comics.
Right.
These are all revolving around Thor trying to gain Odin's permission to marry Jane. Which, as an arc, I think is actually really well done.
Overall, it's not bad. It's entertaining.
The problem with it is it starts rough. The first couple issues are just kind of meh.
Like the first 3.
But it does get better.
Right.
And more enjoyable as it goes. With the last couple, actually, I think the very last issue was kind of meh as well.
Yeah, a lot of meh.
But there were like 2 or 3 right in the middle that were actually pretty good.
That progressed the story too.
That has me excited for the future of eventual Thor. Right now, not so much, but we'll get there.
Right.
So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get rid of the page banner, and then we're going to not bring that up. Bring that up. There we go.
See you later. No way, they're gonna still see us on camera.
Yep. All right. So again, Comic Corner, week 22. I chose Spider-Man as my week 21 MVP.
Right.
That was Asshole Spider-Man.
Asshole Spider-Man.
And we'll see what Ralph chooses. Last time, Ralph's choices that are on the board are Mr. Fantastic, Thor, and Giant Man.
Which I was picking heroes.
He was.
I really was. I swear to God I was, man.
And will he pick a hero this week? Probably not, because all he has is Thor. You got a shitty week, homie.
Alright, what the fuck type of brainstorming is this?
Alright, so first up, Marvel Trivia question of the week. True or false, Power Man was a member of Captain America's side in the battle over superhuman registration?
Oh, shit.
If you would like to know, or want to check out the answer, wait till the end, and we'll get there.
Or skip right through.
Alright, the first issue is Journey into Mystery number 99. This came with 2 stories. Story A is The Mysterious Mr. Hyde. Story B is Surter, the Fire Demon. Right. This was published December 1st, 1963, written by Stan Lee. Issue A was penciled by Don Heck and inked by Art Simic. And then issue B was both done by Jack Kirby. Penciled and inked by Jack Kirby.
Right.
The characters you're going to see in the first part, in A, are Thor, Odin.
That's very badass type of Thor. I mean, I know it's like a zoom in, but that's pretty cool. Like, very detailed to it.
Jane Foster, and then Calvin Zabo, who is also Mr. Hyde. So, starting off, we begin with Thor leaving for Asgard. Again, story A is titled The Mysterious Mr. Hyde.
Right.
We begin with Thor leaving for Asgard while Mr. Hyde watches making an evil plan. He plans to go to Donald Blake's office for revenge. So, Thor plans to beg for approval to marry Jane.
Again.
But Odin doesn't want to hear about it. Thor says he will not stop asking until Odin says yes. Meanwhile, we see Jane thinking about how much she loves Donald Blake but feels like he's hiding something.
Right.
We then learn that Calvin Zabo, known as a bad doctor amongst the medical community, had planned to ask at one point to work for Don. But then he also planned to rob him later.
Right.
But Blake turned him away. He vowed for revenge and went home and made an elixir, turning himself into Mr. Hyde, based off of the old Jekyll and Hyde book.
Right.
He's used this identity as Hyde to rob banks and turn back into Calvin, and apparently even his fingerprints and everything changes with him.
Which that's interesting.
Which is pretty cool.
Right, because you would think his fingerprints stay the same, but no, they don't. Like
right.
His whole
makeup
changes. Gone. Yeah, that's strange. I like that.
Meanwhile, Odin forbids an immortal to marry a mortal. When Odin suggests he make her, or when Thor suggests to Odin to make her immortal, Odin gets mad, which gets Thor mad. Thor raises his hammer in anger. He's not actually going to hit Odin.
I thought he was. I swear. I was like,
but
bro.
then Odin basically bitch blasted him. And when I mean bitch blasted him, it's kind of like, bitch slapping when you smack from the back.
But to infinity and beyond.
But he like threw a blast at Thor. But then felt bad because he knew Thor wasn't going to swing on him. So in feeling bad, Odin says that if she proves her worth, he will make her immortal. So Thor then returns to his office, super excited, feeling like, I've got a chance. It reminded me of Dumber and Dumber.
Right. Like,
I've got a chance?
I got a chance? That's good.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance? That's so fucked up because he's trying his damnedest, bro. He's trying, bro.
So Thor returns to his office just in time for Hyde to show up. As Donald Blake, he puts his staff down as Hyde busts in.
Right.
Don lunges for his staff, but in the process, as he grabs his staff, Hyde pushes him out the window.
I thought he was dead. Roll credits. I said, damn. Well, bye. Bye.
At which point, Hyde rips open the safe and then leaves.
Right.
Don taps his staff against the wall to become Thor, goes up to tell Jane that Don is okay, and he'll call her soon.
How do you know this?
Right. He then goes, becomes Donald, and ends up hitting up a payphone and calling her and letting her know that he's fine. Hyde overhears through the radio broadcast that Donald Blake has survived, and it sends him into a frenzy. He dresses up as Thor and robs a bank, making everyone believe that Thor is now robbing banks.
Right.
The cops put out an all-points bulletin for the arrest of Thor, and we get a to-be-continued moment.
Right.
Not a bad issue. I gave it a 3.
Yeah, I gave it a 3.
It
was a little rough, but
I did enjoy Hyde as a character,
right,
and his build-up, and I would like to see more Hyde, which we will. As a matter of fact, the next Thor comic we read has Hyde. After all these, has Hyde in it.
Okay.
The next time Thor comes back around. But it was really cool. Again, I think Hyde is a very well done character. It's a bummer that one of their better done characters is just a rip off of an actual book that was written a long fucking time ago.
Right. But think about it, man.
But then again, that's kind of what Thor is.
It's smart, man. Like, he got a potion that allows him to change his whole entire everything.
Right.
Palms, everything. So, yeah, that's pretty dope.
But yeah, so I gave it a 3 out of 5. Alright, story B is called Surter the Fire Demon. And so what this is trolls end up joining up with Surter to go against Asgard. As Surter starts to get, or as Odin starts to get overwhelmed, he strikes the place with lightning to fend off the trolls.
Right.
Odin then goes and finds Surter and drops an ice glacier thing onto Surter, at which point Surter runs to Earth to fuck some things up.
Right.
Because he knows how much Odin loves Earth. Surter digs into the center of the planet, sending a big chunk into the sky, which then becomes the moon.
Right.
Odin builds the Bifrost Bridge to reach Earth quicker, where he causes the Earth to spin around the sun, which in turn traps Surter in the center of the Earth for all eternity. In which I put, yeah, I bet.
Right. I'll be back.
Right. Surter then gives a Pegasus to Odin in hopes to be forgiven because he doesn't want to be trapped forever.
Sure.
So that's how Odin gets his flying horsey.
Hey, my little.
I gave this a 3 out of 5 as well.
Yeah, like a 2.
Could have been better. Definitely could have been worse.
Right.
But yeah, it was just a nice little fun.
Right. And you got
mythology legend, basically.
He got his horse, so.
Right. He got his horse. It's also the telling of how we got the moon.
Right.
And how the Earth started to rotate around the sun. So, I mean, it's fun seeing other mythologies' reasoning behind why things happen.
And Surter didn't blow up the Earth.
Right.
That's where he was going.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't change over the picture for you
shit.
guys. My bad. Odin and Surter. And it still says Ymir. I didn't change the name of it. That's actually Surter. I'm not changing it now. Fuck it, I don't care. Okay. Alright.
Oh,
Journey into Mystery number 100. This is, the A story is called The Master Plan of Mr. Hyde. The B story is called The Storm Giants. This was published January 1st, 1964. Guess what, guys? We're in fucking 64.
Right? This is the first.
No, it's not the first. We had a couple last week that got
Right, okay.
This was written by Stan Lee, penciled by so story A is penciled by Don Heck, inked by S. Rosen. Story B is penciled by Jack Kirby and inked by Paul Reinman.
Right.
There's your story A characters. You're going to see Thor, Odin, Jane Foster, and Mr. Hyde. Pretty much all the same people you saw last time. It was a to be continued. So we begin with the master plan of Mr. Hyde.
Right.
With Thor being shot at by cops. Wondering what in the fuck is going on.
Right? He gets shot up. I saw that. I was like, okay.
He flees and overhears that they believe Thor has robbed a bank, and he realizes Mr. Hyde is imitating him. He goes back to his office, becomes Dr. Blake, and is reminded that he's supposed to take Jane out for her birthday.
Oh, you dummy.
At dinner, we get some flirting between the two.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Which was pretty dope.
Right.
Until Hyde shows up as their server. He takes them at gunpoint back to his castle. He ties Donald up to a post and sets a time bomb to go off in 24 hours. He tells Jane that if anything happens to him, him being himself,
right,
that he won't come back and release Donald Blake. Hyde's plan at this point is to steal a Polaris sub and make Jane his queen of the ocean. Donald manages to reach for his cane after they leave, and at this point, Odin looks in to start watching what's going on.
Right.
Thor, like I said, he gets his cane, turns into Thor, breaks out of the chains. Thor then arrives to where Hyde and Jane are, and Hyde and Jane actually make it into the sub.
Right.
Thor rips the hatch open and pursues. During the fight, Thor drops his hammer. Jane tries to hide the hammer, because if Hyde is defeated, it means Donald may die to her.
Right.
So, like, she's trying to protect Donald Blake, not knowing, obviously,
he's Thor.
that he's Thor. Thor realizes that his hammer is missing, and he realizes he's about to turn back into Donald Blake, so he summons a cyclone for cover until he finds the hammer.
Wow.
But he does find it under a metal plate. He then stops the cyclone, and Jane begs Thor to let Hyde escape to save Donald Blake.
Right.
So Hyde escapes. The cops reveal they know that it was Hyde that impersonated Thor because, lazy writing.
That was, yeah.
Jane reveals that she's worried about Donald Blake. Thor says he will fly to Hyde's castle to save him, and Jane isn't sure how he knows Blake is there or how he even knows where the castle is.
Right.
Because she isn't smart.
Not really.
Odin reveals himself to Thor, basically saying that he refuses to make that woman immortal because she tried to thwart his efforts, and Thor's not pleased.
Right.
And here's where my problem with this is. Okay? I'm starting to dislike Odin as a character because he doesn't listen. He reminds me of the dumbass parents in every horror movie. When, kids are like, there's a ghost in my room. Ghosts don't exist. Go to bed.
He's staring at me, Mom. I don't give a shit.
My doll's trying to kill people. Your doll's not alive. Go to bed. Shut up.
It's looking at me. I don't give a shit.
Parents, listen to your fucking kids.
Odin don't care. Odin's about tradition, which, like I say, sometimes you gotta change.
Well, I can understand the tradition side of it. But for him to not even listen to Thor, because in this situation, because we actually find out in the next issue, he's trying to explain to Odin what was going on.
Right.
And Odin just doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah, this next one's going to be bad.
And I'm just like, she was doing it to protect his human side. That she doesn't know is Thor because you won't let him tell her.
Right.
No one's to know who your real identity is.
Right, because he really wants to tell her.
Okay, but had she known he was Thor...
She would have got out of harm's way.
She wouldn't have said shit. She'd have been like, beat his ass.
Right. She would have got out. Yeah.
She'd have been like, beat his ass. I'll blow you when we're done.
I'll give you
Life would have moved the fuck on.
Life goes on and on and on.
But Odin is creating a problem for Thor that doesn't need to be created, and it's irritating. It is irritating. It is far more irritating than Peter Parker carrying on a love quadrangle with 5 fucking people.
Right. God damn.
Because, he's a Chad.
Yeah. Hey, we explained that to this man.
I still don't really know what a Chad is.
This poor bastard. But anyway.
Somebody that's good with women apparently is a Chad. I guess I would have been a Chad at some point. I don't know.
But anyway, Thor, he just wants to just get with this girl, and he ain't letting it happen, man.
Right, and I gave this issue a 3 out of 5 too.
I give it 3. And
it was this close to a 4 for me until the cops. The moment the cops were like, "Yeah, we know it was really Hyde pretending to be you." How did you come to that conclusion? I would like to know.
Right, was you watching it?
I mean, you're not reading the same comic I'm reading, so I don't know how the fuck you know what's going on.
They're in on it too. That's why it would have got 5 out of 5 if they were in on it. I was like, oh man, it's a double trouble situation. They're all in on it.
All right, and on your screen now is Thor, Loki, and the Storm Giants.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Besides Loki,
right? This is actually an interesting story.
It really is.
I did actually like this one. All right, this is called the Storm Giants. So in this one, Thor and Loki enter the castle of the Storm Giants. Loki pushes Thor into view of them, which causes Thor to have to start fighting them much sooner than he wanted to. Thor eventually gets captured, at which point Loki throws leaves into the fire, creating a smoke cloud. Loki leads Thor outside where the golden apples of Iduna were in the nest of Agnar, king of the eagles.
Sure.
Who is at the time being held prisoner by giants, which we've actually seen Agnar before. He was in the Son of Asgard story.
Yes, he was. Wasn't he the...
He was the one that was in the Winterland.
Winterland, yep. He was that bird. Who dares?
Pretty much. So, Loki plans to leave Thor there and take the apples back to get all the praise.
Yeah, Loki really just wanted to be Loki, man.
Loki just wants to be accepted.
Right.
I'm just
Ultimately,
saying.
he just wants to be accepted, but he goes about the wrong way. But we knew about this anyway, so.
But Thor ends up cutting the rope and hanging on to Agnar's talon.
Of course.
Upon return, Odin sees through Loki's scheme, and Thor is able to lift the hammer a little more.
Right.
I gave this a 4 out of 5. I actually thought it was a good story. It showed Loki being Loki in all the best Loki ways possible.
Because and it was just playful. It was like a PG version of...
It was playful, but malicious at the same time.
Right, like he still went with the praise.
He wants the praise.
Right.
He still wants Thor to die.
Right?
He was trying to leave him there with the Storm Giants. But Thor was like, no.
Right? It's like you say, tore a string or something. Nah, bro. You ain't about to do this. Get bitch slapped by Odin. Bam!
Alright, next up is Journey into Mystery number 101. This is where things start to get a little weird. But I think it's a little better than the last story overall.
Right.
So this is called The Return of Zarko, the Tomorrow Man. And then story B is called The Invasion of Asgard. This was published February 1st, 1964. Both stories were written by Stan Lee. Both stories were penciled by Jack Kirby. Both stories were inked by G. Bell.
Wow.
So we begin with Thor throwing a temper tantrum.
Right.
Because of the whole Jane situation. Which, by the way, all the issues that always start with Thor throwing a temper tantrum are usually my favorites. Because...
Right, he don't give a fuck.
Nah, he just wants to beat the fuck out of people.
Right? This is literally what this is. Who gonna step on me today? Who gonna push me out? Who push that button?
To make this issue even better, which, by the way, I forgot to switch over to this screen. The people you're going to see in this issue are the Avengers, Loki, Odin, Heimdall, Thor, and Zarko and his robot. Alright, back to the story. So, while throwing his temper tantrum, the Avengers attempt to talk him down. He tells them basically to fuck off.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing they can do to help him.
Well, like you said, when he's mad, he's on the rampage. Get out of his way.
And they do. They fuck off.
Right.
They're like, alright, leave him alone. Tony's like, yo, we can't do nothing to help him.
Right, because at the time, there's nobody stronger than him right now. He'll blast your whole family to a whole dimension. Please don't do this.
Meanwhile, Loki shows Odin what is going on, and Odin's pissed because Thor is brooding over worthless Jane. For being disobedient, he halves all of Thor's power and takes away his ability to control storms and the weather.
Dang, I thought that was interesting.
And then bans him from Asgard.
Oh, he did that Thor 1.
So we're basically getting the Thor 1 story.
I banned you, the
MCU story.
Right.
Thor arrives on the Rainbow Bridge and is stopped by Heimdall.
Right.
They get into a brief scuffle.
Right, because he's there, right, waiting.
And Heimdall beats him.
Oh, yeah.
And Loki's watching all this happen, happy as can be. Loki searches for someone who he thinks can defeat Thor and finds Zarko in the future. Which, he's known as the Tomorrow Man. And he returns Zarko's memory to him. Zarko remembers who he is, and we get a flashback, which, by the way, thank goodness, because I couldn't remember who the fuck Zarko was.
Right?
But that was the one where the story ended with Thor taking the bomb away from him that he tried to steal, which caused Zarko to lose his mind, his memories. So Zarko redesigns a mining robot and takes it with him to the past.
Right.
So Zarko arrives in what appears to be a giant trash can, and the robot ends up melting cop guns and lifts buildings. Donald Blake watches on TV and decides he needs to fight because he's still pissed and he just wants to fight things. He doesn't know he's weak.
No.
So he becomes Thor. Thor arrives and is easily defeated.
It's so sad because, damn, I thought he was going to... You would think, like I said, Berserk Thor, and I said, well, then he gets his ass kicked. Never mind.
Right. Zarko tells him that Thor can either go with him to the future and help him conquer, or he's going to leave the robot here to destroy everything.
Right?
Realizing he can't win, Thor agrees. And Odin looks on in horror because his son's choosing to do bad.
Do bad.
And then Loki's pleased of the arrangement.
Oh, yeah, he don't care.
I actually gave this issue a 4.
Yeah, I definitely give it a 4.
What are you doing? I don't even care.
Right?
But yeah, so all things aside, I gave it a 4.
Right, I give it a 4.
I'm enjoying the story that's being told. And, hey! No! You little shit.
Right?
I was actually super excited to read the next one to see how things were going to go. And to be honest, I was not disappointed. However, before we get there, Story B features Thor, Heimdall,
And a
Loki,
weird-looking ass Namor.
Odin, and a bunch of weird monsters.
Loki look like fucking Namor's son.
Right.
Out this bitch.
Are you sure you're not Atlantean instead of Ice Giant?
Right. I'm like, wait a minute. Namor's son. Look at that bitch. He's part Atlantean.
So this is called the Invasion of Asgard. And in this story... Hey!
No shit.
Hold on.
No shit.
We'll be right back.
Dang, we're doing so well. We didn't have to pause.
Alright, and we're back. I had to go
Hello.
throw a cat off the fridge.
To the next Tuesday.
Alright, so with this story... Thor wants to help battle the evildoers. But Heimdall denies him. Basically saying this is a grown man sport. So Loki then shows him a hole to protect on one of the corners of Asgard.
Pause. That hole.
Little does Thor know, Loki actually made the hole and told the enemy where it was. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to get Thor killed.
Yeah, he basically went, Loki doing Loki shit. He wanted to get him killed.
Right, so Loki says he's off to get help. And as soon as he leaves, Thor is bombarded with a shit ton of enemies. We're talking frost giants, fucking trolls, fish people,
trolls,
people riding dragons.
Right.
The shit is just wild.
More evil gods, like Jesus Christ. Like he's
Loki's a dick.
Loki. No, this is way more. He's like a murderer. He got that Black Force energy. Mm-hmm. We didn't get that from MCU as much. Like at least he was a dick, but he wasn't like this is just straight. I want to kill Thor. I'm like, whoa, why?
Right.
Whoa, why? What? Damn.
So Thor holds his own for a short while.
Oh, he was going. He was going.
And then all of a sudden, a dragon breathes its breath, which starts to turn him into a tree. At which point, Odin shows up. Thor wonders how he knew to be there. And then, basically, Odin shows up with the forces. They drive the enemy away.
Right.
And for Thor's efforts, he's granted the ability to lift the hammer a little higher.
Ain't this crazy, though? This is it's leading up to him actually being able to lift that bitch.
Right. I gave this story a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I gave it 4. Namor's sister over here up here doing all kind of shit.
Man.
All
right. Next issue. Issue number 102 is called Slave of Zarko, the Tomorrow Man. And the B story is called Death Comes to Thor. This was published March 1st, 1964. Both issues were written by Stan Lee and penciled by Jack Kirby. However, the first issue or the first story is inked by Sheik Stone. And then story B was inked by Paul Reinman. And in this issue, basically the only people you need to worry about are Thor and Zarko.
Yeah. So let's get off.
All right, so Thor and Zarko arrive in the future where Zarko has Thor begin to wreak havoc.
Right.
Thor hypnotizes guards to allow Zarko to control them.
Easy.
Zarko approaches the World Council and demands that they tell him where the world machine that runs things is. Yeah. They leave to give them an hour to decide, and Thor leaves a note on the table. They return and fend off an octopus bot, at which point the council tells Zarko what he wants to know, and they go to a cave. Upon arrival, a cell bomb traps them in a cell that is a gravity-based cell that keeps them on the ground.
Right.
Thor breaks them out of it. They then get inside the cave. Zarko takes over, and Thor asks if he's fulfilled his promise. Zarko says yes, he has, and Thor says, good, now I can fight you.
Right. He said, screw it, bro.
Because as Asgardians, when you make a promise, you have to follow through. And he did. So, after a brief fight, Thor charges his hammer and shocks the machine, which allows it to basically run itself again. And it captures Zarko in a small bubble cell, at which point the council arrives and they leave to place Zarko in an actual prison cell. And they thank Thor for the note, which basically told them to trust him. Thor swings his hammer to return back to his time. Odin's pleased. And Loki is not. And Loki vows to defeat him. I actually gave this issue a 3 out of 5.
I gave it 2 out of 5. I mean, it was fine, but I didn't really care. It was just one of them unnecessary ones. I thought it was going to be like he beat Zarko, he's able to lift the fucking hammer. Let's go.
Well, he is able to lift the hammer. This is present day stuff. You're mixing the stories, you tired son of a bitch. But yeah, my complaint with this story is after all the setup they did in the first issue that seemed so good, he gets to the future and like it started off so good, but the way he ends up defeating Zarko was just so boring. I was like, oh, you shocked a machine and the machine put him in a fucking prison bubble.
Right.
Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Right.
You're telling me you can't fight a bald dude with no powers?
Well,
like,
he had the machine? He had no powers.
Well, he still had half his strength.
Well, yeah, I mean, but Thor still could have knocked his ass out to the next millennium.
Right. He could have still thrown his hammer at him.
Yeah, bam!
Story B features Thor, Sif, Storm Giants, and Hela.
I remember you showed me that, and I said, hey, Sif, there she is. I haven't seen Sif in a minute.
All right, so I'm going to give you guys this quick thing here. We've actually read this story before.
Yes, we have.
We began this podcast reading Thor, Son of Asgard.
Right.
And this was the second and final story that was told in the 12-issue run.
Because this is when we thought he died. I was like, oh, shit.
No, that was the first one.
Oh, first, okay.
This is the story, if you remember, basically Thor gets mad because Sif gets captured. Oh. And he lifts the hammer without even noticing.
Right.
He goes and visits the Storm Giants. The Storm Giant leader dude tells him that she's been taken by Hela. And he basically goes to Hela, offers himself in Sif's place.
Now I remember.
And Hela ends up letting them both go because of Thor's willing sacrifice.
Right. Because we made so many jokes. I said, could you imagine? He does one of these things. It's like, gotcha, bitch. No, you're not. Try
again. Here's the thing. Even though it was a retelling.
Right.
It's technically the original telling of this story.
Yeah, this is the original of the story. Yeah.
The one we read was written 30, 40 years after this story was done.
Like
and it was a more detailed version of this story.
Right. So that's kind of... that's interesting.
It was really cool to see the story that was being told in Thor, Son of Asgard was just this, but more detailed. Like, take this short story
Right. That's what it was.
And put it across
Expanded.
six issues.
Wow.
With more details involved. So it was really cool seeing the original story, but again, I gave it a 3 because it's not a bad story. I still enjoyed the original story.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. But see, the new one I gave it 4. I think give it a 4.
I think we both did
4 because it was more detailed, which is kind of fucked up because this is a little bit detailed. I get a short story, but during that time, that was the detail that you got from out of all of it. So
right.
Damn. Okay. Well, yeah.
All right. Next issue is 103.
I like how you didn't go to no detail the last issue. You said, well, we broke it down to a T.
Yeah, you guys, you want to see us talk about that story? Go watch the second podcast.
Yeah,
the second podcast episode covers that entire story.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, damn. Oh, shit. No, right. I'm not going to say that. I was like, yeah, if you want to rewatch it, really just go to the archives and boom. It's like literally like after we do what? The first...
It's the second episode.
Second episode. Yep. Okay. Right. Yep.
So this is Journey into Mystery number 103. This is actually my favorite issue of all of them. This is story A is the Enchantress and the Executioner.
Well, every time you bring them to, it's gonna be a good one.
And story B is Thor's mission to Mjolnir.
Hell
Mew
no.
Mew.
Johnny.
Maybe that's where the joke comes from. Mew. It's Mew.
Nope.
Remember how Kat Dennings? Anyways.
Yeah.
So
like, no, I'm not going to attempt that bitch.
This is published April 1st, 1964. Both stories are written by Stan Lee. Both stories are penciled by Jack Kirby. Both stories are inked by Cheekstone.
They're using her a lot, or this person a lot.
Yeah, I have no clue who Cheekstone is.
Yeah, I know who that person is.
In story A, you're gonna get Odin, Thor, Jane Foster, Enchantress, Executioner, and Loki.
You got Loki looking like how he did in the Loki TV show.
The classic Loki.
Classic Loki. I like that.
All right.
Enchantress looks like what she looked like. Well, not in that, but like in the cartoon.
In this story, we begin with Thor arriving back to Earth in his time.
Right.
Picking up right where the last one left off.
Yep.
And he turns back into Donald Blake. He goes to the office and sleeps. Meanwhile, Loki suggests to Odin sending Enchantress to Thor. And Odin allows it.
Yeah. Which Loki, you would think he would say no. So,
right.
Yeah.
But Loki goes to Enchantress with her mission. And she's longed for Thor for so long, she's all in. She's like, okay.
I mean, she's a chance to sleep with Thor. Let's go.
So she goes to Earth. She arrives in Donald Blake's office and tries to make him fall for her. He realizes it's Enchantress. Jane walks in, and Enchantress immediately kisses Donald, and Jane rushes out.
Right.
Don breaks Enchantress's hold and chases after Jane. Enchantress returns to Asgard and commands Executioner to kill Jane.
Yeah.
And he's willing to because he loves Enchantress. Meanwhile, Donald Blake...
That's the play. Hey, you kill her because he loves me. Bitch, hold on. Who wrote this?
Right. Meanwhile, Donald Blake is searching for Jane.
Right.
He turns into Thor and goes into a police station where he's told that there's a giant guy that has just shown up in town with an axe and he's bothering people.
Yeah.
So Executioner ends up finding Jane and banishes her to a place called Limbo. Just as Thor arrives. Thor and Executioner fight, and Executioner says he'll return Jane if Thor gives up his hammer to him. Thor agrees.
Yeah.
And Executioner brings Jane back. Thor sees this as a win-win. He's like, I don't have to worry about being Thor. I can remain being Donald Blake, and I can marry this girl because I'll no longer be immortal.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting twist. I didn't think he was gonna. I should have known. I guess that's because I was like, when I read this comic, I was like, what? But then looking back, I'm like, okay, he does love her. So I'm like, it was one of the things I was like, you ain't gonna at least try to fight? I mean, I guess damn. Okay, all right. Never mind. Yeah.
So, Enchantress at that point begins to turn Executioner into a tree because he didn't do what he was supposed to. He was supposed to get rid of her for good.
For good.
Executioner
he turned into a tree. Shit, that's funny.
Executioner agrees to give Thor's hammer back if Thor helps him. So Thor grabs the hammer.
Yeah, he gave it back to him.
And tells Jane to run.
Right, run.
As Enchantress appears. She tries to turn the hammer into a snake, but since the hammer was forged by Odin, her magic does not work on it. Thor whirlwinds them back to Asgard.
Like a boss. Badass.
And
We're blasting off again.
And then turns back into Donald Blake, where he catches up with Jane, who tries to make him jealous, but is actually secretly happy that he chased after her.
Did you say Drain?
Huh?
It sounded like you were trying to say Jay, but you said Dre.
I might have.
I'm sorry. I
don't know.
You tired bastard.
And we end with Odin throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah, he got pissed.
I gave this issue a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, that's 5 out of 5.
And
I was a little bit. I was just upset, but I gave it a 5. Nah, I might give it a 4 out of 5.
So here's why I gave it 5, especially compared to all the other ones.
This was probably the best one
we've read.
This was the best one so far.
First off, Enchantress comes in and 100% tries to ruin any sort of relationship that Don and Jane may have.
I mean, the way she said...
Jane walks in and she's like, mwah!
Right? And then like with just with the executioner said, hey, you gotta kill Jane because he loves me. Damn.
No. I think you misunderstood that. He didn't say. No one actually said.
Oh, I thought she said
anything.
that.
All she said was, "I need you to kill Jane."
Right.
But he's willing to do it because he loves Enchantress.
Oh, I thought...
He wants to make her happy.
I thought Enchantress told that, and
No.
Yeah, cause I was like, dang, Enchantress, like, kill her. Because Thor actually really likes me. I'm like,
No.
whoa. Like, Enchantress, calm down. Like, you're doing too much. Literally doing too much.
So, no, Enchantress wants Jane killed so that there's no competition. And Scourge or Executioner, he's not known as Scourge yet.
Right.
Honestly just loves Enchantress, so he's willing to do whatever it is that she wants him to do.
You simping for the crazy person. God damn.
I'm sorry, dude. You got stuck in the friend zone.
Right. And you got stuck in the friend zone, and you simping for a person that turns you into a damn tree.
Mm-hmm.
A legit tree. With flowers on it.
Right. All right, story B. Which was the mission to Murmur.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that.
We start with Thor retrieving his flying ship from King Sindri, and then he flies to Murmur. Upon arrival, he's attacked by Skord, the flying dragon. As you can see, these are all the people, by the way. Thor, King Murmur, King Sindri, Asken Imbla, Gullin, and Skord.
Hey.
So, he's attacked by Skord, the flying dragon. Thor defeats him. Further on his journey, he's attacked by Gullin, the mightiest of the Boar gods. Thor defeats him. Thor finally arrives to King Murmur, and Thor tells him that it's time, and gives him a branch from Yggdrasil, which is the Tree of Life.
Right.
King Murmur puts the branch into the enchanted fountain, stirs it, which leaks down to Earth, which creates Ask and Imbla, the first humans on Earth. So this is their story of Adam and Eve.
Wow.
So I thought it was a pretty cool little telling of their
Right.
version of how Adam and Eve happened, but their names are Ask and Imbla.
Right.
Thor then returns to Earth. Next time, we're told that starting next issue, we're going to start getting in-depth character biographies, starting with Heimdall. I gave the story a 3 out of 5. It was an interesting read.
It was fine. First humans.
Again, I enjoyed seeing the Norse belief of how things happened.
Right.
In terms of, I mean, obviously, like, I grew up in the church, so I know the Christian belief of how things happen.
Right.
But yeah, this is basically the story of Adam and Eve.
Right. Nice take on that, Stanley.
Right. Well, that's not even Stan Lee's take. That's the actual Norse mythology.
Oh, okay.
Norse,
See, I don't really know too much about Norse mythology.
The Norse mythology
predates
Marvel by like a couple thousand years.
Oh shit! Okay, that's cool.
So everything that you're reading about Thor in terms of stuff that's happening back then are the actual stories from the Norse mythologies. They're just told through comics.
Oh, okay. And maybe I should probably look more into Norse mythology because
There's a book right there called Mythology A to Z.
Where is it? I'm looking. Oh, there it is.
The big white book, Ralph.
I bet you were looking through the camera like, really, Ralph? Okay, you not see? No. And you got contacts on? No.
Right.
You got contacts on.
All right, and then for the last issue, this is issue 104. A story is called Giants Walk the Earth. B story is called Heimdall, Guardian of the Mystic Rainbow Bridge.
Which I like the B story. I liked it. For what it was worth, I get it, but I like it.
Right.
It was a different pace. It wasn't Thor. I mean, Thor's there, but it's really Heimdall. But
right.
Anyway, yeah.
This is published May 1st, 1964. Both stories are written by Stan Lee. Both stories are penciled by Jack Kirby. Sheik Stone did the inking for story A. Don Heck did the inking for story B.
You know what's funny? There was no Dick Ayers in here.
Nope.
Damn. I mean, but I guess he would do.
No Dick this week.
No Dick this week. You get no Dick. No Dick.
So all the characters of story A are Thor, Surter, Loki, Odin, Skag, Heimdall, Enchantress, Balder, and Jane Foster.
And we haven't seen Boulder in since we have
Week 2.
Yeah, week 2 of the podcast. I was gonna tell you about that. Like, hey, Boulder, look, and Boulder looked kind of interesting. He looks interesting compared to what he looked like. And I get because time zone wise, but he looks interesting and a lot more taller. Because the other one, he looks short as shit.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, we don't know how tall he looks on here though, because he spends the entire time riding a flying horse. So.
Yeah. Okay. You do have a point. It's just weird because it's just through perspective of what I was reading. It looked like compared to what we saw in the Son of Asgard. I'm like, you like to kind of compare it. If they were standing, look like he looks a lot more taller than. And of course, he's an adult too. But you meow.
Meow. All right. So with this story, we start with Loki scolding Enchantress and Executioner.
Right.
Loki then goes to see Odin, and Odin asks if Loki has any ideas. Loki says he should go to Earth himself, and Odin agrees. So he gives Loki a little bit of his power to help defend Asgard while he's gone, and then he departs. Meanwhile, Jane is exhausted from the last issue, and
literally.
Dawn sends her home, and then becomes Thor to fly through the city. Loki releases Skag and Surter to destroy the Earth. And one of the things I loved about this, I just wanted to get this out of the way now, is seeing everything come full circle.
Right.
Because a couple issues ago...
they were being mentioned, Skags and Surter.
A couple issues ago, we saw Surter get trapped in the Earth by Odin.
Right.
In one of the after stories.
Right.
So, now fast forward to present day, Loki sets Surter free. Who's been trapped inside the Earth.
It's like, who set him free? Oh, come on. It's too obvious. It's your brother.
Right. So, Loki releases Skag and Surter. Heimdall sees this and sends Balder to tell Odin and Thor. On arrival, he runs into Thor and tells Thor what is happening. They rush back to Donald Blake's office. Thor arrives just in time for Odin to come in and immediately tells Odin what's going on. He's like, look, we could talk later, but there's some shit going on.
Right?
Surter and Skag are on their way.
I guarantee you, we can duke it out, fight, whatever the fuck, but we got two big ass. They're like huge as fuck. Like, they're coming down here, man.
Right. So Odin transports all of humanity to a lone dimension.
That was dope as fuck. Oh my god. I like that one. I like that.
Freezing time on Earth for this epic fight.
Dude, yo. Because I was like, how are we going to get these humans? Like, I got you. Whoop. Like, what the? Hey, you Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right? Skag arrives.
Yep, Skag came down first.
But kind of gets his ass beat.
Yeah. Yep. He gets light work.
And is saved by Surter.
Right.
Surter goes off to try and melt the ice caps, and Skag tries to keep them busy while Surter does this. Odin drains Skag's energy, but Loki keeps feeding him more.
Right.
But Loki starts getting weak himself. Odin finally depletes Skag of all of his energy, but becomes weak himself in the process because of the energy he has to exert to be able to do that. Thor then takes Odin's sword and basically knocks Surter against an asteroid that Surter gets stuck on.
Right.
Odin then invites Thor to go home with him, but Thor says no, he belongs here, and he has to be with the one he loves. Odin kind of scoffs and departs, and upon arriving to Asgard, Odin sends Loki to serve the trolls, because Loki's a dick. He's like, so you're going to go be a slave to the trolls.
Right.
And this was kind of the end of this little story arc. I gave this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5.
It was a really entertaining story.
And like I said, it went like 3-6, like a whole circle. Like I said, like between Loki, Odin, and Surter, and even Jane for that matter, and even the Enchantress for that matter. Like, they all came apart each issue some way or form. So I gotta give it to that one. Yeah, 4 out of 5 for real.
Story B, which is called Heimdall, which is based on Heimdall. You're gonna see Odin, Agnar the Fierce, Goltron the Agile, and Heimdall.
Right.
Who's just Heimdall. Apparently Heimdall was not a the. He was just Heimdall. So in this one, we basically start with Odin calling upon Agnar the Fierce, Goltron the Agile, and Heimdall to see who's going to be the Watcher of the Rainbow Bridge. Agnar boasts of his ability to blow the warning horn louder than any other, at which point he demonstrates it's loud. Cool.
Right.
Goltron boasts of his fighting prowess, and then Heimdall explains that he can sense that there is a plant that is growing in the hidden hills. And he can also see storm giants 2 days out coming into Asgard as they speak. So they go and check the Hidden Hills,
Right.
which is a desolate area where no greenery is growing. And at first, everybody thinks he might be a little bit crazy. And then all of a sudden, they look at the exact point that Heimdall said that this little piece of plant was growing. They lifted up some of the ash that was laying there, and sure enough, there was a piece of plant that was growing there. Odin sends out some troops to try and stop whoever it is that's marching on their way into Asgard. The troops run into the people that Heimdall says was there.
I think it's Loki doing this, but...
They defeat them.
Right.
And at that point, they all realize Heimdall is really good at his fucking job.
Yeah, Heimdall don't give a fuck, bro. He'll fight anybody. Like it was like when Idris Elba was trying to teach Loki not to pass the Bifrost. He's like, "Are you trying to pass?" He had freezes at. He was going to beat the shit out of him, bro. Mm-hmm. Like Heimdall will fight if he has to. Even though he's one of them gangsters. Like he don't fight unless he has to fight. But I'll fight him.
And at this point, he is then told that he is the guardian of the Rainbow Bridge. And we are also told that in the next issue, we're actually going to see the first time Heimdall doesn't see everything that's going on.
No,
so we get to read a story about Heimdall fucking up. Maybe it's the first. Maybe we'll get Thor: The Dark World story.
Oh my god!
In comic form, I don't know.
We get the Malekith where he's like, "What's that big ass ship coming my way? What the hell is that?"
Right. I gave the story 3 out of 5 though. It was cool.
2 out of 5.
It was cool seeing how Heimdall
was a badass. But it's fine. That's fine. But I don't care.
Got his. She just jumped inside the fucking. Jumped inside something. She jumped. The cat just jumped inside the. She does it all the time. It's
Bro, y'all trying to give me this? You trying to kill this black man right here in front of you?
So there's a laundry hamper up there.
Right.
And she always.
She just hopped right in.
And she jumped in it and it knocked over.
Luckily, we were done with our thing because I was like.
Ralph's ready to run out the fucking door.
I was gonna say, you know what? Fuck all you people. You guys are fucking weird, bro. Like, yo, what was that? And then you get this bitch right here. He's like, so he's gonna ignore the fact that sound sounded like Jesus was coming for everybody.
Right. So here's the thing. As far as the comics next week or the next time
you get the better one.
Next time you see us.
If we were right, dude.
Actually, hold on. Let's finish the normal stuff that we normally do.
Yeah, we kind of jump. Yeah,
I'm jumping ahead here.
Right.
Let me put the little screen back up. All right.
Right.
So, Ralph's MVP
is Mr. Hyde.
Hyde.
I like him. The way I get it, because see, he was a villain, and even Nick said, "Well, I would pick Enchantress." Well, you got to think, Enchantress already did Enchantress shit. Executioner already did Executioner shit, and even Loki is doing Loki shit. We've never seen. I mean, we have. I get it, but not in this way where all of it, especially I guess in that year, modern times, I guess whatever was from the '60s, to say, well, not only he turns to Mr. Jackal and Mr. Hyde, but he got where these changed, his whole everything, not just that, but his touching and all of it. So it's like, okay, I like the little concept behind that. So that's how I saw it by picking Mr. Hyde.
When I talked to Ralph, I said I'd have picked up Enchantress, which I still would have.
Yeah, I know you.
If it was me,
if it was you, right?
Because
you still would have been a villain regardless, though.
Right. At this point in time, I got to think of it, especially as this being in the '60s. This would have also been Enchantress's first time showing up in the comics.
Right. Okay.
And I like Enchantress.
Yeah, that's fine. I pick with like I said a non. This is typical Ralph picking a non who the hell is this person? A non-popular villain with the dude from Planet X and all that. That's bad, or Pace Pop Pete, PvP. Going back to the roots here. What I used to pick was villains. Because you're like, why do you keep picking them? Because they're getting their fucking ass beat.
So he doesn't actually pick MVPs. He picks LVPs.
And they always escape. Stop letting them escape. Whoop their ass. Throw them in prison. Do something.
Now, as far as the question.
True or false?
True or false? Power Man was a member of Captain America's side in the battle over superhuman registration.
I give it true.
You think it's true? And the answer, is that your final answer?
Yes, sir. Is it true?
True.
Yay.
Power Man was opposed to the Superhero Registration Act.
Right. Okay.
And that's the end of the slideshow. that sucks down here because the internet sucks down here. Now, with that being said, let me go ahead and get this off of the screen. So next week's issues are actually all look really good.
Let's say you really got the good one. Like I had the one where it's pick a villain.
I've already read the first one because again we were originally going to record 2 weeks worth in one day.
Right.
But then I stopped myself. The first one is Avengers number 3.
Right, yeah, Avengers. Yep.
Which is the Hulk and Submariner versus the Avengers.
That sounds gonna be good.
And then Fantastic Four number 22, X-Men number 3, and then we get Strange Tales number 117. Which one was Strange Tales again? That's
was it Human Torch?
Yeah,
Human Torch.
Human Torch stories.
Yay!
Because, we don't get enough of those.
Yay!
And then Fantastic Four number 23, and then Amazing Spider-Man number 9. I don't remember who all they end up fighting in all of those because the way the company that we followed changed up the whole way they do their things.
Yeah, you was like mad. You was like, wait, what?
I understand why they did it. They did it because a lot of traffic through their website was causing a lot of people's shit to move super slow.
Right.
But they no longer just show the covers. You kind of just have to look at the list, which you guys can't see it from way the fuck over here. But I just have a list of the comics that I'm reading next, or that we're reading next.
Right.
But like I said, the good news is I've already read one of them. I'll probably get through another couple this weekend, which will actually put me ahead of the game come Monday when I put everything together. I may even try and watch through most of the rest of the episodes. I've already watched 2 of the next 6 episodes of the Superhero Squad show. But yeah, so I definitely think next week's, or it may even be the week after, again, we might not be here next week because of, I might be going to New Mexico.
Sure.
But the next time you see us, I do think it's going to be a much better week than what we had this week. This week, the Superhero Squad show episodes were kind of meh. We got stuck with all Thor, and we're honestly not like huge Thor fans.
No.
We can read them, and I'm definitely...
we can tolerate them, that's what you're asking me.
Right. We at least got a couple of really good stories this week, but over and above all, it was just kind of an okay week. I'm, again, super excited to read all of them next week. Again, we've got Avengers, which I've already read. It's a pretty good episode.
Okay.
But we've got, like, Avengers, we've got Spider-Man, we've got...
I was saying, you got the good one. Like
we got
heroes.
more Fantastic Four, some Human Torch.
Which planet is he gonna not talk to the girl this time in Stranger Tales?
Right.
I gotta leave. Why?
Dimension Z. Or no, we've already done Dimension Z.
Right.
This
Can't
one will
do
be
X, they already did that
Dimension L.
Right.
For loser.
Right. And the chick is Luna Loser. Like, I want your babies. She's literally offering you her stomach. No, my heart belongs somewhere else. You pussy. Oh, man.
But yeah, so that's what we get to look forward to. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you guys next week. Thank you all for hanging out with us, and we love you, and Excelsior. Bye, guys.
He got the good one this week.